So we're back. So you might be thinking, why is this guy making such a big deal about these four verses, Acts 2, 8 through 11? Well, let me get Fowler. And why is this important, in my view, for nursing and nursing practice? As a theologian, hopefully, making some contribution to you in this regard. Provision 5 says the nurse owes the same duties to self as to others, including the responsibility to promote health and safety, preserve wholeness of character and integrity, maintain competence, and continue personal and professional growth. What's interesting about Acts chapter 2, verses 8 to 11, is that the people that are mentioned here are people from outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the hub for Judaism. It's where the temple is. It's where the kingship had historically been situated. Jerusalem is the place where, in a sense, to borrow language from Deuteronomy, God had chosen to make his name or to place his name. And so Jerusalem becomes, as the hub, it becomes the place to which people, in following through on Old Testament commands to appear, for the males, adult males, to appear 3 times before God, it's following through on that Old Testament command. They come to Jerusalem, which is where God had chosen to make his name or place his name, right? And so the 3 feasts are the Feast of Passover, which is when Jesus is crucified and rises again, Pentecost, which is where we are here in Acts chapter 2, and then the Feast of Booths, which would occur basically while Passover and Pentecost occur basically in the spring to late spring. The Feast of Booths would occur essentially in our late summer, and these 3 are typically harvest festivals, and they are celebrations of God's preservation and his historical acts of kindness to Israel. These folks that are mentioned here in 8 through 11, they're not residents of Judea. They're not residents of Jerusalem. And so as Luke has scoped out, or Luke's quote of Jesus has scoped out, the work of the gospel is something that translates to all people, and that means geography. Jerusalem, the hub. Judea, the surrounding territory of the hub. Samaria, the area a little bit north, and we talked about the Samaritans, like with the Good Samaritan story, and then the ends of the earth, everybody, and that includes Romans, and we're going to get to that when we talk about Acts chapter 15. So the fact that these folks are included here places some importance on them, and I just wanted to say for the nurses, if these folks are important, you are important. And looking at this list, sometimes I know from talking to my wife, and I think it's just the human condition, sometimes we don't feel like we are important, that the work we do is appreciated, and those kinds of things, because we're down in the dirt, we're in the mud and the muck and the mire and just doing the work, right? But sometimes there are little clues even in the biblical text, that those that you don't think are important, and you probably saw that certainly from the Reimer article, they really are important. And you saw it from the Scheffler article. You see it there. And in this way, the text places value even on those who the residents of Jerusalem might not place value on. And that seems to me to be a really important kind of godlike value, that we place importance on everyone, no matter where they're from, no matter what they contribute to the conversation. Everyone has a place at the table. And that little bit right there, boy, it really spoke to me. So I know it's just 4 verses. I know it might seem like they're throwaway lines. To me, they weren't. They weren't throwaway lines for me. And I wanted to maybe encourage you a little bit. They're not throwaway lines for you either. So forgive me the little pastoral moment in bringing that out. But I think it also plays into what Scheffler does as well. So we'll come back and start talking about Scheffler in just a moment.